Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, unless of course you're new here, in which case hi, hello. My name is Ashley and welcome to my random little corner of the internet. As you can tell from today's title, we are going to be doing my July wrap-up, all the books I read in July. If you watched my July TBR video, then you know that I was doing the Four Nations Readathon. My cats are feisty this morning. If you watched my July TBR video, you know I was doing the Four Nations Readathon, and I was doing level 6 and 7 for the Air Nation. I showed you guys all the books that I read. I read all of them, except for one I'm still in the process of reading. It is July 31st when I am filming this, and so I'm still trying to finish one audiobook. We'll get to that in a minute. So, talking about the books that I have read, we'll start with Mistress of All Evil by Serena Valentino. And it is obviously the story of Maleficent. It talks about how when she was a child, how she got left in a tree, and how she got picked up by a sweet fairy lady, and then how she went to fairy school to where it was her, it was the fairy godmother, it was Flora, Fauna, Merryweather. They all went to school together to learn how to be fairies, and then, there is a specialty class to become a fairy godmother, and they have to take these tests and things like that, and so it talks about that. And then how, obviously, Maleficent is a little different. She is, I don't even want to say, she wasn't bad in school. She was a good kid. She was just a little different, and so, especially Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather would make fun of her and bully her, and but then I don't want to spoil anything. That's why, it's hard to give reviews, because something happens with Aurora, and the reason why she put her under the sleeping curse, and things like that. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4-star. I did listen to it on audiobook, and the audio narrator was really good with changing her voice a little bit for everybody. The concept of, the weird sisters that do... So each book is technically a standalone, I guess. It's about each of the villains. However, there is, an underlying subplot with these weird sisters that are connected to all of the villains. Snow White shows up in this book because she's the queen of the realm. And then obviously, like I said, the fairy godmother from Cinderella is in it because she went to school with Maleficent. And it's her sister, the fairy godmother's sister, who took Maleficent in as a child. Yeah, it's crazy. But I did enjoy it, and I gave it a 4 stars. So I do really enjoy the series. The only ones I physically own are this one and then the Ursula one, which is called Poor Unfortunate Souls. But I have read The Beast Within, which is The Beast, but I know there's a Hook one, there's a Cruella de Vil one, a Gaston one, and I think a Dr. Facilier one. I said that word, Dr. Facilier. I think he has one too. But yeah. Alright, on to my next one. I don't physically have it because it was a library book. It was The Best We Could Do. This is about a family who were refugees from Vietnam, and how the way that their family grew up as children obviously dictated how they parented. Her father growing up was not treated well. They moved a lot. And her father wasn't necessarily abusive to her, it just was very distant, and so having her own children, she's trying to, break those generational curses, as we all are. I gave it a 4-star. The art was beautiful. The story was just, it's always nice to see into someone else's culture, told from their point of view, and it was very beautiful. And the next one is another one that I don't physically have, is Motherwhelmed, which I needed to read for a self-help book, I think was the prompt. And I gave it a 4 stars. Sometimes when you're I have to be the only one. I have to be the only one whose kids, stay up till 2 a.m. and then still wake up at 6. Or I have to be the only one whose kids stand on their head all day long, or the weird things that you're I have to be the only one. Those have to be just my kids, right? This book encompasses all of that. You're not alone. Trust me, all of our kids are weird. All of our kids are odd. You're probably not alone. If you are alone, heck, I don't know, you could be a millionaire. Maybe your kid is just that top level of odd. And embrace it. Put them in acting. Put them in some sort of sport. Put them in something, embrace the odd. But yeah, no, it was wonderful just to read all of these, because it was her writing the book, but then she would compile other people's stories into it. Like, she was asking questions on her Discord or her Patreon or something like that. I'm sorry, I keep playing with my hair. I don't usually wear it down, so it's always, but it was other people's stories of how this happened one day, and this happened this time, and it was really awesome to see. I don't have very many mom friends. It's just me and then my sister, really, and then my mom and my mother-in-law, I guess. I don't. So to read all these other women talking about their experiences was really awesome to read. So yes, I did give it a 4 stars because it was really good. And if you're a mom, you should read it. My next one, again, don't physically own. I'm doing great for reading books on my bookshelf. Next book that I read was The Rivals by Jane Peck. It is the sequel to The Verifiers, which I gave 5 stars. I gave this one a 5 stars as well. It was an e-arc that I was so happy to receive from Nat Gelly because I absolutely love The Verifiers. Can't remember when I read it. I want to say maybe February, March time. Absolutely loved it. I didn't think I was going to, because it's a girl who really loves mystery novels, and she joins this company that works with people who are online dating, and they're like, I feel like something's fishy, like something's not quite adding up. I need you to check them out and run background checks and things like that the actual websites don't do. And then there's a murder mystery, and yeah, it's like, I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy this one as much, but I still gave it a 5 stars because I still loved it. There was still another murder, and they're still trying to figure it out, and it's still, what I love is just, it's like, the matchmaking websites are evil, and they're killing people, essentially, and like, I don't know how to put it. Like, that's kind of where it's at. Is like, oh, well, these matchmakers are doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, and people are finding out about it, and so then they have to kill the people. It's actually really fun. It's so fun. And then you've got, like, the more generational trauma in the back, because why not? Why not just sprinkle that on like Salt Bae? Like, whatever. It's great, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. The next one, I do own it. I do. Was the Dawn of Yang Chen by F.C. Yee. I think the prompt for this one was arrow in the cover. Her arrow tattoo, poker in the eye, arrow tattoo. I loved it. If you watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, you will know that Yang Chen was kind of boring because she did a lot of politics. That was her thing. Like, Aang is super fun. Ruko was super hot-headed. The one between Yang Chen and Roku, can't remember his name. He was super laid back because it was time of peace. Yang Chen was very political. However, in this book, we get lots of insight that she is trying her hardest to hold back the attitude, and sometimes she does not. She is talking to all of all the politicians in between these cities, and they're trying to figure things out. And then there's this one guy who's getting a little too big for his britches. He works underneath the Earth King. Like, the Earth King has all these cities, and inside of these cities are basically like a mayor, but they're called Shangs. And there's this one guy who's, like I said, getting too big for his britches, and he decides he's going to start blowing up the city. It's one of those situations where, like, I'm going to create a problem so that I can fix it. And Yang Chen's like, yeah, it's not going to work for me. And so she gets all Avatar, and then, like, you think about things, and you're like, it'd be really, truly terrifying if they did that, and then they do it. Like, an airbender can essentially just suck all the air out of a room and all the air out of your lungs and just kill you, essentially. Not even essentially. She doesn't. There's the guy who's too big for his britches, but then there's 3 people that he brings in with him. She does that enough to make them pass out, and then she traps them in the Northern Air Temple, and lies to the Earth King about where they're at. But it's absolutely delightful. There is another character. His name is Kavik, I believe. Yes, Kavik. That she brings along as her companion. There might be some romance going on in the next book. Kind of hints at it here. I don't know what'll happen. We don't. That's what I love about these books that we're getting. We're about to get a Roku one. Actually, I think it came out a couple of days ago. We already read the Kyoshi ones, and then there's the Yang-Chen ones, and then we're getting Roku ones. As a giving us more in this wonderful universe. Like, we get, hey, that's what that avatar did, and that's what that avatar did, and we know Kyoshi was a badass, and Roku was a hothead, but, like, now we're getting more. And I think each one of them is going to get 2 books, and it's going to be fantastic. I absolutely love this. I wrote down that I gave it 4 stars. I don't know, I might change it. It might actually be a 5-star. Maybe 4.5. But yes, I loved it. Next up, which might be my favorite book of the month, was Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I know that Brandon Sanderson is super popular, and I know that he's written a bajillion books, and that he just keeps pumping them out, like Hamilton. He keeps writing like he's running out of time. But I loved this. I absolutely devoured it. So we have Spencer, and she has always wanted to be a pilot for the it's an acronym, and I can't remember what it is, for the government, because she lives on this planet where there's these aliens that keep trying to come fight them, and her father was a pilot when she was a child, and then this giant battle happened that was like the battle. They call it the Battle of Atla. It was kind of like the pinnacle of everything. There's statues to the pilots who died, and even the pilots who didn't die, because her teacher in flight school, as well as the admiral of the whole thing, were part of her father's flight crew. And would you like to say hello? Hey. Okay. No. Okay. So her father has been branded a coward, because in that battle, they're fighting and everything like that, and then all of a sudden he just kind of branches off. And then all she knows is that he's been labeled a coward and he died. That he was killed by his flight crew. She doesn't think that's true. She doesn't think that's right. But she is determined to get into flight school. The admiral is adamant that she's not going to get in. She made sure that she failed her test and was like, you're not getting in. However, the guy that isn't being her teacher, fought for her to get into the school, because he's like, this is my classroom, you can't tell me what I can and can't do in my own classroom. And so he allowed her to be in his class. And then a lot of stuff ensues for her to prove that her father wasn't a coward. She found out that actually the real story was much worse, but then he's not a coward, but maybe he's a traitor. But then maybe at the end she figures out that maybe the aliens they're fighting aren't what they think they're fighting, and that maybe they're not the enemy, but they are the enemy. Maybe we're the bad guys. I mean, come on, let's face it, humans are usually the bad guys. So, yeah. I'm so excited to get into the next one, which is on my TBR for August, because when I played my game, it was like a one-word title, and I was like, cool beans, because I will finish Skyward, and then I can read Starsight. And if I don't get to Skyward for some reason, then Skyward would be my one word. So glad I finished it, because then I can read Starsight, like, immediately, and yes, I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. Probably my favorite. I'm not even going to say probably. This is my favorite book of July. And probably sitting in my top 10 for the year. We'll see. I don't know. Then, because I needed a book that had where a character had tattoos, it's okay. Let me talk about this one. So on my TBR, I have the Eternal ones, and technically she has, like, tribal paints. She doesn't necessarily have tattoos. I really enjoyed the first 2, and honestly, there's nothing bad about this one. I'm listening to it on audiobook, and I just don't care. And maybe that's because it's an audiobook. Maybe I'll try to finish reading it physically today. I know that I only have like a couple hundred pages left. Probably not going to finish it today, but I'm struggling. And I don't want to struggle. Like, I want to love it. And there's nothing particularly bad about it. It's a good book, and it's a good story, and it's hyping up, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not in the mood for it. So that's why it's like, it's not a DNF. If I don't finish reading it, it's going to be a not right now. It's not a, I'm coming back for you, baby. If I don't finish it today. Because I like to finish, like, I like to start my months off fresh. So if I don't finish it for some reason, it's because I couldn't get into it. And I will put it on the NRN shelf. But not right now. I will come back to you. However, to finish my levels, like, you have to read all of the books in the level. And so I still needed a book with a character. Nico says hi. You say hi? Say, meow. Still needed a book with a character who had tattoos, and so I was kind of scrolling through the Read Now on NetGalley, and I came across Total Suplex of the Heart, which is about a journalist she's a journalist who writes for like a online magazine, and her mom doesn't think she's going anywhere. She doesn't really think her career is going anywhere, and she stumbles upon women's wrestling, and so she decides that she's going to write an article about women's wrestling, and then she becomes a wrestler. First she's like the ringside, like, showgirl. I forget what they call it, but just the ring girl, where she like brings the wrestler out and weighs and looks hot. But then she becomes a wrestler, kind of, sort of, and then it was nice. It is autobiographical, so it is about like the girl in it experienced all these things, and which is great. It was very raw. It was very emotional, but it moved so quickly. There was so many times where I'm like, did I miss a page? Is there something missing? Like, at one page, she's like getting in a fight with this girl, and the next page, like, not even the next page, like this square, she's crying about the fight that she got in, and then this square down here, it is a graphic novel fight, if I image it. So this square down here, they're at the mall, laughing. And I'm like, but did you communicate? What happened? And then, like, it could have benefited by being a little longer. It was only like 200 pages, and for a graphic novel, that's not long. And so yes, I don't. She even ended it with like an afterword saying like, oh, I wish I could tell you this is how it really ended, because like at the end, her boyfriend was cheating on her with said friend, and so she was like, fuck this guy, I'm out, and left with her friends that she gained through the wrestling community. And she was like, I wish this is how I really could tell you that it ended, but it didn't. And that relationship lasted another year, and I'm like, we could have expanded. Like, I know that it's probably hard to write a lot of emotional stuff, but I just feel like it was just bam, 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 bam. However, there was a character in it, his name is Roach. He's an absolute just sleazeball. He had a bunch of tattoos. At one point in time, he like tattooed her name on his arm, and they weren't even together. So yeah, but that was that. But yeah, I think that is going to be it for my July wrap up. As I stated, my favorite book of the month is going to be Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. But overall, as I listed, pretty much everything was 4 or 5 star, except for that last one. I gave it a 3 star. But yeah, so overall, it was a good month. I didn't have any ones that I truly detested. Like I said, Eternal ones, if I don't finish it today, it'll just be I'll come back for you. Like, I'm just not I don't think I'm in the right mindset for it. I think right now, I'm more into the sci-fi. I'm feeling more sci-fi. I'm feeling more contemporary, maybe mystery. I know I have a good mystery on my TBR for August, and maybe that's just where I'm at right now, and that's okay, and I will come back for it. But yeah. So, I'm going to wrap up that, but I'm going to ask you, What was your favorite book of July? Did you read anything? Did you read one book? Did you read 1,500 books? Remember that it does not matter how many you read, whether it is one, whether it is 20. Just read. Reading broadens your mind. It broadens your everything. And it doesn't matter what you read. You could read the cereal box. Just read. And yeah. I know that got like all philosophical for a second. But what did you read in July? What was your favorite book in July? Did you read something that you absolutely don't think anybody should ever read? What are you going to read in August? So, what books are on your TBR for August? And yeah, I think that's going to be it. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up button as well as the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're always notified every time that I upload. And until next time, bye!